Greetings, welcome to my cluttered desktop. Now today we've got a little history lesson. So I'm sure everyone's familiar with the modern day mouse, which uses light to work out exactly where it is on any surface. Now of course before we had that, we had a different sort of mouse which used a mechanical method to work out where it was on a work surface. This is a great example of one of these. Dell brand by the look of it, and the missus found it for a princely sum of £1 in a charity shop, and that's the sort of price I like to pay. If you look on eBay, they're not that cheap. Anyway, so standard format. This one is a more recent one because of course it's got a USB connection. Prior to the USB, a lot of the mouse variants we had a PS2 connector, and it was one of these. And it was similar connector was used to link up the keyboard as well. It's just a serial port connector, and it sends information, and of course it was rationalized with the introduction of USB. Now this is an adapter you can get to allow you to plug a regular USB mouse of any sort into a PS2 connection port on your older computers. So the thing is, with the old mouse, different to the new mouse. The new mouse, I mean, you'll see occasionally the pads gunk up, and you can just scrape off the gunk on the pads, and it will run over any surface a whole lot better. Other than that, the only thing that ever tends to go wrong would be the switches wearing out, and you might choose to just chuck it out or replace it, or replace the switches. It's up to you. I like to replace the switches if I can. It's a little more environmentally friendly. However, this one's was not the best action on its switches, but then it's as it was at the time. I don't think it's ever actually got any worse over the time, and that can be said for a lot of Dell products. They last for decades, and it's got a bit grubby. So before I start using it, I'm going to clean it up. So let's have a look at the mechanism. It's just got this little ring here. Now, because of course it's gunked up, they often stick, but I've had a go at this one beforehand. You get a little mouse ball, and this is the retention ring, and inside we have two wheels. And see if we can't focus on that and brighten it up a bit, maybe. Nope. Let's just pause and see if we can bring in a little light to this. So let's have a look at the mechanism. The mouse ball was the thing that pokes through the retention hole and makes contact with the surface you're rubbing the mouse over. And it also makes contact with these two rollers here, that one and that one. And there's a retention roller there as well, just to make sure it has the right tension. And as the rollers turn, it works out which way the ball's rolling in this direction and which way the ball's rolling in this direction. And in so doing, works out exactly where you're moving the mouse. These rollers in turn tend to move a mechanism, and I'll show you that shortly, inside, which uses a fine, well, wait on a moment, I'll get it open. There we go. And if we're lucky, it'll come apart without breaking. Ooh, some gunge in there. Yeah, put that to one side carefully. You can see each one of these rollers is connected to a wheel with slits on it, and the slits pass through an LED and light pickup switch, and as the slits go through, depending on how fast you move the mouse, the wheels turn fast or slow, and by a measured amount, and it counts the number of slits and works out how far the ball has moved and what to do with that signal. The same can be said for this one. You can see the slits. And of course, in addition, we got the roller with its weighted mechanism. Oh, and it's sticky. I don't know why it's sticky. I don't want to know why it's sticky, but that's disgusting. Okay. So yeah, they used to get pretty disgusting, and when you'd join a new company, you'd sit down at somebody else's desk and wonder how it was that you weren't going to get something disgusting, some lurgy, sitting at this new desk. And the first thing I would do before I did anything would always be to clean the mouse. So you get the mouse ball, and now I've got a nice damp cloth with some soap on it, because that's frankly the best way to clean it up. It gets a lot of the filth. It's amazing how much filth comes off people's wrists on a desk. Just the action of sleeves and dust falling on things, cigarettes in the old days. I've got a bowl of water over here, by the way. It's got some bleach in it. So I thought it's best to give everything a good bleaching, especially considering we're in the pandemic era. Right. Stick that wholesale in there. It's all plastic by the look of it, so that should come up nicely. In we go. Oh yeah. Now I'm sure you won't be able to tell, but it's come up a treat. That was quite a bit grayer with filth, so that's nice. I shall dry that off with a little towel here and put it on one side. I used to be able to do this whilst in a call because, of course, in the old days she worked with a PS2 connection. That sort of serial port could not be hot, unplugged and plugged, not like a USB. Woe betide you if you did that. You'd have to completely cut the call and start again and call someone back. But if your mouse locked up mid-call, this is what you'd have to do. You'd have a bit of towel handy and off you go. Right, next up, this is the disgusting bit. Now, if we're lucky, we can actually remove these rollers, but I'm not going to chance it because they are very cheap nylon. So it's usually better just to scratch it with your fingernail or a screwdriver. I would suggest your fingernail, and we scratch off the gunk. Oh God, it's disgusting. Yeah. Now you're wondering, why am I not getting in there with the cloth? Well, I do, but I want to get some of the filth out first. It really is much easier if you get it cleaned off with your nail. You would actually get kits in the old days, like a ball-shaped brush that you just shove in the hole and wiggle around and hope for the best. But those brush kits would often brush a lot of the dirt straight into the mechanism where they would jam up the switches, and you don't want that dirt floating around in the mouse because it's really only postponing the issue till later on. And I would sooner, there it turns much better. You get to a point where the filth on the rollers will actually stop the mouse ball rolling completely. There we go. Now, it's not much when you see this filth on the table. It's not much, but believe me, it makes a lot of difference. Now, let's toss that in the water, I think. Oh God, you know what? Put a screw in there now, haven't I? This was bizarrely also filthy. This must have been in somebody's drawer somewhere. I haven't even plugged this in yet. I haven't dared. I wanted to have a look at it first. Let's have a look at this. Now this is probably best to get this one centered again. Let's loosen her up. I wonder, they must have spilt a drink on this. This was somebody's coffee, I'm sure. So many people could not be trusted around electronic equipment. To this day, I know of individuals who can't be trusted with electronic equipment. They'll toss a laptop across the room like it's, oh, it's just a book. You know, no, they're not meant for that. Don't take it out on the kit. There we go. Somewhat less disgusting. Oh, I forgot that third pressure wheel. That's quite revolting. Oh, what happened then? Something happened. Something made an awful crack. What I'm trying to do is scrape all this filth off this roll here. It will definitely work much better once it's done that. That will. Okay. This might well be one of those things I take out. I don't know. It's spring loaded, so I'm loath to. Ugh, filthy. Now for the damp cloth. This is of course why the optical mouse took over. Much better than the mechanical mouse. Although some of the mechanisms are still used in the high-end trackballs you see as specialist items today. They're very reliable though. And in some of my previous jobs, I've gone into offices where the kit has been decades old. I mean, really, they bought it when it was new and it's still in use 20, 30 years later. So it's a testament to good design, I think. Just no one likes getting their hands on filthy things and cleaning. Maintenance, we're not a fan of. But this throwaway culture, I think it needs to change. I think that's getting there. Still a bit mucky. Let's give it a clean on the underside. I think whoever had it last did at least clean the bottom of the mouse. Clean that filth, because that is usually a key area where it gets cheesy. So there's that. They just couldn't be bothered to take it all apart. It smells like old coffee. Old, awful coffee. We're not even talking a good brand coffee. We're talking the filth that comes out of the machines for free in some of the old institutes. There we go. Reasonable. Good as new. Goodish as new anyway. Let's try that. A bit more clearly. It is painstaking, it really is. You don't have to be too tidy about it, but wow. This comes from the era of the larger chips. Fraction of the size these days. The lid has had a chance to soak. I just want it not to be sticky, really. There we go. Now you can see the micro switches. They are standard parts, and the nice thing with these circuit boards is they're large enough to manipulate with standard fingers. You don't need any special kit really. If you've got a soldering iron and a bit of patience, you can replace them if they fail. And it's cheaper to replace a switch sometimes than it is to get a new mouse. Well, it was in the old days anyway. Yeah, you could buy a pound mouse from the pound shop, but why would you do that when you can avoid throwing things in landfill? Yes, it is still damp, I know. So I'm taking care to dry this one off. Carefully, meticulously. It's an interesting design. They've included 2 plates here. More modern versions don't have that. It's just sprung plastic, but I get the feeling there's actual springs in this. Nice. Ooh. And we can easily see why we need to get in there. I'm not going to get away with it. It's one of those. I'm hoping I get away with it. Come on, come on. Please don't break. Please don't break. Come on. No, it's going to break, isn't it? Well, that's annoying. Come on. Nope. Question is, how are they joining this? This goes here. Oh, I see. Yeah, let's not go any further than that. I'm going to get in there with a little bit of paper and get out that speduncle that's in there. Dry enough. Now I could, if I had the patience, take this whole thing and give it a wash, but there's no need to wash the inside of the roller unit. Let's reassemble. There's a hook and it's not fitting. It ain't fitting. Some time later, there we go. There we go. Put the screw back in. That put a little more fight than I remember. However, on we go. And at this time, since it's clean, it pop right back into place. Now, if it's dodgy, you feel it when it starts to roll. Okay, with that done, it's time to check out this water and fire up the PC. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for joining us. So if you ever handed an old school mouse and you find it in a filthy condition, you'll know exactly how to get it working again and get it clean, and we can all avoid putting something else in landfill. If you like what you see today, feel free to comment. If you don't, feel free to comment. Otherwise, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe and click the bell icon to get notified when the next video goes live. So whatever you do, have a good day. Look forward to seeing you next time.